Making headlines tonight, the Prime Minister and public servants meet for a face-to-face discussions on the BOSS program. Another step taken towards the modernization of the justice system. Local artists encouraged to look for new money-making opportunities. And coming up in sports, a former Windies skipper forces the ICC to speak out on racism.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Hundreds of public servants and employees of state-owned enterprises seized the opportunity to learn more about the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme today, as Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley hosted the first 3 of 6 informative sessions at the Garfield Sobers Gymnasium. Sharika Griffith reports on the morning period, which started around 10.
Employees attending the meeting were subjected to strict health protocols to maintain hygiene standards. A CBC team saw them wearing masks, having their temperature checked on arrival, sanitizing their hands on entering the building, and engaging in physical distancing while there. They were also asked to provide their name, organization, and representative union should there be a need for contact tracing. In her opening remarks, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley sought to further explain government's decision to go with BOSS. She says for those asking why government did not just issue a bond, the challenge is not financing, but fiscal space.
If this is all the fiscal space I have, then all I can do is rearrange within the box what I need to do in order to be able to get the capital expenditure that I need to get. Are we doing other things too? Of course we are. I've indicated already that we're reviewing the estimates, we're reviewing programs. There's some programs we will have to put on hold, there's some we will have to pause, there's some we will have to get rid of and find somebody else to do them. Because we are in that moment. And the most important thing, because COVID-19 is a once-in-a-lifetime event, what we don't want is to create permanent solutions that go way beyond what COVID-19 is carrying us to and overshoot.
Senior Technical Advisor to Government, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, provided a detailed breakdown of the BOSS program. He also revealed that Barbados is expected to lose over $600 million in foreign reserves this year. However, the good news is that Barbados is now in a good financial position, having increased its reserves from $420 million at the start of the BERT program to $1.7 billion, or about 21 weeks of import cover.
Tomorrow, we go to the IMF board with our 4th review of our BERT program. And all the indications, once that is passed, we will get another $49 million US because that's part of the program support, and another $90 million US because of the COVID impact. Most countries are taking out real space and get to help us. That will put us what? That's 140 million in all. 49, and that's what? 300 million roughly Barbados dollars. That adds to the 1.7, $2 billion.
General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Senator Tony Moore, says there's already been some consultation within trade unions.
I know that there are some trade unions who have had engagement with their membership since Thursday, and although allocations of space have been made for some, they might now be open to other people, because I am aware that some unions have received majority support already for the program.
The morning session lasted over 2.5 hours and was followed by an afternoon session scheduled for 1:30 and another in the evening at 5. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. One of the first questions posed to the Prime Minister focused on how employees would communicate they want to opt in or out of the BOSS program. The Prime Minister outlined what is likely to be the process.
It will be probably the head of department who would then communicate it to the Ministry of Public Service. Public Service then sends on the information to Central Bank, and whether it is Central Bank within Central Bank or Central Bank working with a third-party provider in terms of managing the process, that has to be worked out now with us and Central Bank. But effectively, that is what will instruct them to deal with the bonds or issue the bonds to whoever. In some instances, I think Dr. Greenwich had indicated that there could be a third-party assignment by you. So if you, Sergeant Blackman, say, I'm assigning mine to Mia Motley, you understand, to buy, then I will buy yours.
Barbados has entered yet another day with no new COVID-19 cases. Now, while only 28 people were tested yesterday, no one was positive. However, none of the 9 people remaining in isolation has recovered, so no one left today. The number of positive COVID-19 cases recorded in Barbados remains at 92, with 76 recoveries and 7 deaths. The Best of Santos Public Health Laboratory has so far conducted 5,499 tests. Last evening, it was revealed that permission had been granted for students who have not completed their CXC-SBAs to attend school from next Monday. Class 4 primary school students will also be heading back to the classroom soon. In tonight's Coping with COVID-19 episode, we examine what should happen in those classrooms when the students return. Now, there have been many questions surrounding the safe return of students to their respective classrooms, and government has set out some detailed protocols and regulations for the transition. We look at some of the major ones. First of all, persons who are unwell must stay at home, and everyone on the school compound is required to wear a face mask. Each school is required to reinforce the need for strict compliance with the guidelines for the return to school. Cleaning is one of the big talking points. Janitorial staff must thoroughly clean and sanitize all rooms, floors, walls, corridors, desks, chairs, workstations, tools, equipment, classrooms, labs, workshops, specialist rooms, and other facilities. The janitorial staff must also be provided with adequate supplies of cleaning and disinfecting agents, as well as training and the personal protection equipment necessary to carry out their work. All workspaces must be properly ventilated, and all doors and windows must be kept open wherever possible. Individual fans must not be used as they can spread the virus. Students may need to leave home earlier due to the limits on the number of passengers per bus. Schools are being asked to ensure the enforcement of physical distancing by using aids such as floor markings, as well as staggering arrival and departure times for students to limit exposure to crowds. Schools will limit the number of students undertaking classes to a maximum of 10 per room. A specific desk and chair should be assigned to each student, which should be used by that student only. Restrictions should be placed on the number of persons allowed or present in the toilet area at the same time. Packed lunches will be provided by the school meals department where feasible or required. All persons not taking these meals must travel with their pre-prepared lunches. Temperature checks on persons entering the school should be performed using a reliable infrared thermometer. These are some tips to help you cope with COVID-19. News now from today's debate in Parliament. As Barbados takes its court system into the 21st century, the country is moving towards electronic filing. E-filing is the use of technology to file documents in court electronically, eliminating physically going to the registry. Attorney General Dale Marshall says it's part of efforts to make the system more efficient. To achieve this, amendments were made to the Stamp Duty Amendment Bill. Mr. Marshall, who is also the Minister of Legal Affairs, is confident the amendments will allow judges to work more effectively.
Once we go the route of e-filing, sir, a judge will not have to contend with trying to put 7 boxes into the back of a vehicle to carry them home. All of the documentation in a court case, when once we go towards e-filing, will be on a memory stick. No, sir, it doesn't take rocket science to recognize that this is an initiative that should be embraced by everyone, not just for environmental purposes, for convenience, for efficiency, and for speed of carrying out your activity.
The Attorney General touted government's record with respect to modernizing the administration of justice.
In this financial year, we've already issued, I think we had enough money to issue most of the judges with new, very powerful laptop computers. Our High Court has already long been outfitted to handle technology. And therefore, sir, we just have to put those last few things in place so that the delivery of justice can be brought into a modern era.
Unemployment claims to the National Insurance Scheme due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic continue to climb. As of last Friday, close to 43,000 were submitted. The update was provided by Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, during debate on the Catastrophe Fund Bill 2020.
42,797 claims for unemployment. Now, if you appreciate, sir, that our workforce is on average about 145,000 people, sir, then Barbados will come to understand, and whilst today is not the discussion for BOSS, Barbados will now have to come to understand, sir, why it is, sir, we have to re-engineer what we have in order to ensure that those 42,000, almost 43,000 claims for unemployment, that we can get as many of those persons back to some form of work as soon as possible, sir, so that we can create some new balance for economic activity.
There was a noticeable increase in pedestrian traffic throughout the Capital Bridge town today as more businesses resumed operations after being given the nod to do so by officials. This followed weeks of closures due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Our Rihanna Phillips ventured outdoors and filed this report.
Under the Emergency Management COVID-19 Curfew No. 6 Directive 2020, dated May 30th, more businesses are allowed to open. Over in the city, boutiques in Swan Street reopened, while Cave Shepherd on Broad Street expanded its services.
Happy to be back. Just a lot of protocols that we have to adhere to. We have the 6 feet markers. We're not allowing you to enter without a mask, taking your temperature at the door, and sanitizing. Clothes are also that are tried on are being held for 24 hours on a rack upstairs before we put them back onto the sales floor.
We have various protocols in place. On entering, you sanitize your hands. In those departments also for apparel, you sanitize your hands before you try your clothes, your shoes. You ask to retain your face mask. The dressing rooms are sanitized during the day after every customer.
Animal care, grooming and training establishments are also among those given permission to resume operations. And Angela Ramsey of Rough Cuts Dog Grooming Services welcomes the decision.
I think going back out to work today is great. You get to pay off some bills that are long overdue. We are mobile, so we go from location to location. So in that case, we have hand soap that we normally take with us. And after every appointment, we would wash up and so on. On top of that, we have sanitizer inside the vehicle. We use that on a daily basis too after every client. We also wear masks.
The Alphabet shopping system has also been suspended. Merchants are hoping that the removal of other restrictions will eventually translate into more business. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Thanks, Rianne. Artists and those in the music business in Barbados are being told to look beyond producing music just for the Crop Over Festival. Veteran entertainer and CEO of Redhead Records, Anderson Mr. Blood Armstrong, says this is the only way artists can survive, especially in light of the restrictions imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. He says there is absolutely no income from live performances right now, and artists need to look at making money in a more serious way from their music. He was speaking during TV8's The Link Up.
You make a song and there are tons of festivals all over the world, and our music is happy music, so we call it summer music, and things are happening all over the world. People right now cannot go out to festivals, so you got to make sure that when you package that new product that it reaches not only your audience, who will probably not even buy which is your reality. Hardly any of our music is being bought by our own people, and that's the first problem that we have. So we have to make sure that that what product we put out there is palatable for a market that we may know very little about in the first place.
Barbados Cultural Ambassador Stetson Red Plastic Bag Wheelchair agreed, saying there is still too much jam and wine in the music and artists need to focus on the topics in their songs.
I think we have to make music that should drive the festival rather than the other way around, so that our topics become broader and our music can appeal to wider markets. It is even more important now that our music can appeal to wider markets. And I would like to suggest that to our artists that when we are making music, make sure not to just focus on festival music, but focus on music that can appeal to the whole world. When you make a song these days and you put it on the internet, the whole world listens.
Correct.
So I believe that you're giving yourself a better chance to earn, you're giving yourself more appeal when you make a song that can appeal to a wider market.
Barbadians are being encouraged to invest in photovoltaic systems. Green energy advocate Mark Hill gave this advice while on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
As simple as that. Whether you have enough space on your roof to accommodate a 2 kilowatt solar system that would generate around $100 a month, or 3 kilowatt that would generate maybe $150 a month, whatever, you can now turn your roof into an instrument that is generating revenue. And therefore, every Barbadian can participate.
Mr. Hill says there are lots of financing options available as institutions realize the potential of the technology.
There are different financing houses that are offering different percentage rates, but at the end of the day, most households will recoup back their ROI, return on investment, within 7 years, and that's a very good return on your investment.
A St. Philip man is nursing a gunshot injury to the head following a shooting incident late yesterday evening. According to police, 55-year-old Vincent Thorne of Lower Duncans was reportedly shot about 7:30 while in the same area. Thorne was reportedly shot in the left side of his head by a man known to him and was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance. He is reportedly in a stable condition. Lawmen are asking anyone who can assist with the investigations to contact the nearest police station. Well, still to come, more discrepancies revealed in Guyana's elections recount. Then we have sports a bit later, but before we get to all of that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Never share any nude photos of yourself or anyone else on any social media platform. For example, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. This tip is brought to you in association with the Child Care Board and UNICEF, helping to protect our children while they surf the web.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now, Guyana's Immigration Department has confirmed that 172 people who are recorded to have voted in the March 2nd elections were not even in the country. Well, Guyana's Elections Commission says they've handed over that information to all the relevant authorities. More in this report.
The APNU-AFC had submitted to GCOM's chairperson, retired Justice Claudette Singh, a list of 207 persons who it claims are recorded as voting in the March 2 elections but were not in Guyana. The GCOM chairperson subsequently wrote the Commissioner of Police requesting that the Immigration Department verify the claims made by the APNU-AFC coalition. On Monday, GCOM's Public Relations Officer Yolanda Ward confirmed that the police commissioner responded to the chairperson.
And the commissioner would have indicated that 172 out of that 207 did not arrive or return to Guyana on or before the 2nd of March. This is an issue that the commission is still discussing, and when the commission of itself makes a decision or a determination as to how they proceed on this issue, it will be communicated publicly.
The U.S. State Department has suggested that Trinidad and Tobago withdraw from the Rio Treaty if it is not willing to abide by decisions made by the member countries. It comes after TNT refused to abide by amendments to the treaty made last year in relation to the visit of Venezuela's vice president. The U.S. State Department says it believes TNT broke the treaty by allowing the vice president into the country for a meeting on COVID-19 related matters. Now, both Rowley and Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dennis Moses are on record saying that TNT is not bound by the tenets of the December 2019 Rio Treaty vote and that the country was instead abiding by the UN General Assembly and CARICOM stance that recognized the legitimacy of the Nicolas Maduro government. Jamaica has drafted protocols to facilitate the reopening of its tourism industry, which has been adversely impacted by the coronavirus. As we hear in this report from PBCJ, they are being reviewed by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The protocols, which are contained in a 122-page document, reportedly target all segments of the industry and are said to be the most rigorous to be found in the tourism industry worldwide.
Covering every single element of stakeholdership activity in tourism. And very central to it all is the protection of the workers of the industry. And every effort is being made to ensure, and indeed I want to make the point that some of the protocols that the companies themselves have put forward, and I've seen a number of them by way of their YouTube renditions of what their protocols are, that are well in excess and exceeds those that we have put forward in terms of how they are going to manage their space and, more importantly, provide the necessary COVID security equipment for the workers of the industry. The training that will be done, and in fact we are rolling out a whole training program.
Sports is next with Anne-Marie Burke.